Alright, welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Slight. Today we're going to be doing the review portion of the Gears Racing suspension. Now, we're going to do it in two stages. We're going to do just the rear. I did not do the front yet, so as you can see here, front is not done. So we're going to do just the review on the rear first. Second portion will be with the front suspension and the rear. Just because I know there's going to be quite a few people that would choose just doing the rear specifically and not doing the front because a little bit more work involved with it. All honesty, I have actually already ridden this with the rear suspension only. I personally would do both. And the only reason why I say that is because the rear is so much better than stock. The front, really, you can really feel the difference in the front now. They were always kind of soft in the front, right? But now that the rear has been dialed in, the front really shows bad. Okay, so anyways, we're going to jump on this. We're going to talk about it, and then we're going to go from there. And the gate's locked, so we're going to have some fun. Do. All right. Now there's a lot of dirt and salt and stuff of that, so I am going to take it a little easier now, but also the fairing is not on here, so the wind might be a little bit more aggressive. Hopefully I'll have the fairing on when I do the front review, but just because it is going to be a little bit more windy. Okay, so basically while you're riding, basically the what used to be like, so here bumps right here, that bump, normally you would get that nice like jerk into your spine, right? The 500 really was not set up pretty well from the actual factory, but again, they're not designed for that, right? They're not really a bike for that. The biggest test is going to be when I actually have both set up, because I don't think I'm going to be going crazy with just the rear on. So here's a bump here. Perfect. Like, I don't like the difference between the bump here, there's another bump, right? And these are like holes, right? And they are so much nicer to hit. Like, normally you'd be worried about actually hitting a good bump. You do not worry at all with this. Now, confidence in corners, again, that front is still wobbly, right? So I really wouldn't go too crazy in the corners with just the rear. But if you were buying the rear specifically just for ride feel, ride like going through and not having to get like, you know, your spine assaulted throughout the trip, I mean, that's worth the money already, in my opinion. Here's some railway tracks up here. Okay, so in the event of normally you slow down, right? Obviously you're going to slow down in most cases, but with the 1100 it's okay, it's not that bad. 500 or 300 it's no, not very good. So perfect, no problems. Like, there is no problems. Like, this is crazy. Again, I ended up looking into these guys not for specifics to just ride it, right? I was looking for more of a suspension for like more of a sport feel. We can do some slow speed stuff. So basically with the whole rear end, the rear end with the OEM setup, it's too soft. And when you do dial it in, you can do the 5 adjustments, right? These have a lot more. You can dial it in a lot better. Performance wise, these are awesome. Absolutely awesome. As far as daily driving, again, awesome. I'm so shocked by these, quote unquote pun, right? But I am so happy with the setup on this, that it is actually surprising how comfortable this suspension is. It is almost okay. I've been on quite a bit of bikes, all the lower quality bikes and stuff like that. Suspension is typically something that lacks braking, obviously, and obviously performance. They're not really designed for that. So the 500 specifically isn't really a race bike. You're not going to get that quality out of the suspension from factory. But the problem I was having is even just riding spiritly through corners and stuff like that, I was shocked with how easy the suspension fails on the 500. So when you're going into a corner, you can literally feel the bike kind of like just falling apart, right? It's not falling apart specifically, but you can feel the actual suspension kind of like jouncing kind of thing while you're going into the corner. With this, I've never actually had this problem yet on these. Now, I don't suspect it to be, but again, I'm going to do more of a in-depth review while I'm actually driving with the front suspension as well. Again, I wanted these specifically for performance-wise, right? Again, I understand it's not a sport bike, it's not a performance bike, but I kind of like riding slow bikes fast, if that makes sense. Anybody can ride a fast bike. It takes a little bit of skill to ride a slow bike fast. And it's, in my opinion, it's a little bit more entertaining. As far as the 500, the suspension specifically on the rear, they did do the upgrade on 2020. It was a little bit better. It was really bad though still. But the front specifically is actually the biggest problem that I have with this bike. So thought I'd do a quick review on just the rear setup, just because I know for a fact people are just going to want to do the rear. There's a lot of companies that actually deal with the rear. Gears Racing so far, from what I can see as far as performance wise, very good, very comfortable. I'm actually shocked with how clean it is. We're going to jump back on the bike. We're going to check it out a little bit. We're going to do a little bit of slow speed stuff. Even the Rebel 500 suspension kind of, I don't want to say failed, because it doesn't fail, but it's very spongy. It doesn't give you a lot of confidence going through a bunch of stuff. Now again, anybody can do figure eights, anybody can do that type of stuff, but doing like figure eights in like 4 parking spots, a little bit harder to do. But again, with practice, anybody can do that in my opinion, especially on the Rebel. It's pretty simple. Figure eights. Alright, so I mean, it does give you a little bit of confidence, but again, that front is so soft, so when you're going in, it actually, you can feel the front kind of like jouncing. But anyways, so would I recommend it? Obviously I would recommend it. I'm very happy with this setup so far. We're gonna go do the front suspension now, and we'll do another review afterwards. All right, so the bike's pretty much done now. I got to do tires and bearings and whatever, but we're going to continue on with the inspection of the review portion of the suspension, the Gears Racing suspension. Now I've already adjusted them and stuff like that. I mean, probably a little bit more adjustments required. I mean, just fine tuning it. I mean, they're as good as you'd think. As far as I'm concerned, it's actually set up pretty good. But I mean, depending on what I want to do with it, right? Again, all the videos beforehand, the installations, the unboxing, and the how-to adjustments are all done. They'll all be linked to this video. Anyways, we're going to jump on this, and we're going to get going. Back up there. Now, to say that this is like day and night compared to the Rebel originally, it's hard to explain the complete difference of this. It is so different than stock, and it feels much more capable. Now, understanding it is still just a 500 Rebel, right? But like I said before in many things, I love riding a slower bike quicker than a fast bike slow. But again, on the street, you're not really doing any of that anyways. The actual breakup of how to adjust these are very simple, and I do believe I have them dialed in pretty good. I do have to adjust this mirror. There we go, that's a little bit better. Like bumps and stuff, like originally you'd hit like a bump, you're like, ugh, right? It is so nice. Now, it is stiff. Like, overall suspension feel is fantastic. The adjustments are very easy to do. It's so nice to be able to adjust it. There's no options out there for the Rebel 500, right? So being able to actually adjust this is fantastic, right? Dial it in, right? Biggest problem with the Rebel is the suspension, and my concern, again, power would be nice to have, but I mean, and honestly, the brakes aren't very good either, but the ability to be able to ride into a corner without the bike like screaming at you. Like, there'd be times that you'd be riding in the bike, right, and you're going through, and all of a sudden the bike's like doing this, right, because the suspension just can't keep up, right? But again, I understand, like, the Rebel 500 has never really been built for that, right? So it's really just a regular everyday bike. It's capable, but so am I happy with this setup? Absolutely, absolutely. I'm actually shocked with how well this is. The difference between it is like day and night. Like, it's not even comparable. It's unfair to compare this to stock. It's just, that's not the case. Is it worth the price? Now, a lot of people say that it's expensive. If you look at any suspension, it's kind of on par. That's kind of how much money it is. See, like, that bump was perfectly fine. Now, I'll be honest, it is still pretty cold out, so I've not been doing anything stupid on the bike. So as far as that's concerned, I really don't have an actual accurate way of actually describing that, right? So as far as stability, like higher speeds, like highway speeds, very stable, just like it is. There's not a lot, like, there's no additional vibration. Sometimes if things are stiffer, it's more vibration. Any of the bumps or any of that type of stuff, I mean, again, depends on how you have it dialed in, but the quality of the product, I would 100% say it has exceeded everything that I've wanted. That being said, I have yet to be able to put it through its paces, so I probably will put another, like, a longer term review on it. This is more of like the initial couple weeks of actually riding. Now, that being said, it was given to me at no cost. Would I pay for it? Absolutely. I'm actually very pleased with the way it actually has been done. The performance of these has been great. And I'll be honest, the ease of installation is actually pretty nice. Like, the rear is very easy. Like, I would say probably anybody could do that. The front's a little bit more in depth. But, I mean, I wouldn't be scared of doing it. If you're mechanically inclined in any way, it's pretty good. It's pretty easy. I do have to, like, kind of look back at it and say, okay, well, I'm a tech. How do I kind of gauge it as an individual that really doesn't wrench, right? And is it something that I would recommend somebody to do the front end? I'm not sure, right? There is ways that you can screw it up, but the overall, like, the end of the actual results has been remarkable. That I would hate to just tell people not to do the front. I mean, the front is fantastic. I would say the rear is really nice. It stiffens it up, whatever. And I would, again, highly recommend that, but the front has been very different, right? So the problem with doing just the rear, in my opinion, is if you do just the rear, it really shows how sloppy the front end is. I mean, you can tell that anyways, but, like, you can really feel it, right? It's up to you, right? But I would highly recommend it. I'm gonna see if they'll give me any, like, discount codes or anything like that, and hopefully they will. And if they do, I'll add that to the description of all the videos, and then I'll tag it all and stuff like that. But as far as the overall function, the overall performance, and I'll be honest, they're sexy. But as far as all of that, I would say it is well worth the cost, and I'm looking forward to get a longer review into it. I'm actually very happy with what we have so far, and then we'll go from there. Anyways, if you do like this channel, if you like this content, give me a thumbs up, like and subscribe, and until next time, guys.